Hello, everyone. My name is Carrie, and I'm interviewing Reaper Iru on September 20th, 2020 for the GoTWiC Oral History Project. This interview is being conducted and recorded in a private Discord chat. The recording will be made available for anyone interested on the Black Dragons Discord in the Oral Histories channel. Thank you for joining me today, Iru.
Hello.
Hi.
Glad to be here.
So, let's start out with the first I ask everybody. How do you pronounce your in-game name, and why did you choose this name for yourself?
That is Iru.
Iru.
And
Okay.
yeah, and that is because I didn't have enough characters in my name to make it my official original in-game name, which was Orifio. And I wanted to have a house name as well from the Game of Thrones series, and it was like I was a big fan of Brienne of Tarth, so I took that one and it fit perfectly. But then I had only 3 characters left for a name, and I didn't like Ori because that sounded too feminine for a male child, so I made it Iru because I read it somewhere.
Okay. All right. So, when did you start playing the game?
I started playing in March 2019,
Okay.
maybe February.
So, were you on the what's it called? The Pioneer Discord or Pioneer?
No.
So, as far as I thought, the game didn't start until April. It started earlier than that.
I was making with Fringlings, and we were building a massive timeline for Kingdom 2.
Okay.
And I'm quite sure it started on the 3rd month.
Okay. So March. All right.
It could be April. Don't hang me up on that.
I
Sorry.
don't know. I started at the end of April, and I thought they had started releasing like groups of them every week. So it could have been just like the end of March or something like that. Yeah. So what made you first interested in playing the game?
I was usually not into browser games, but I needed something to fill the void of Game of Thrones, I guess. I was a big Game of Thrones series fan, and I saw this promotion, so I just clicked on it and like.
Okay. All right. Do any other like real life family members or friends play?
No, several tried, and all of them stopped very prematurely.
Okay. So tell me about your first kingdom.
That was Kingdom 2, and I started in a very small alliance called C. And I worked my way up, I think within a week, up to the diplomatic advisor. And I'm actually, the alliance was really bad, and we really split up pretty early after. And I thought in order to survive with some of the friends I made, I actually talked to someone called Bolothian from Dragonheim, who was diplomatic advisor or marquis for that alliance. And we merged soon after. And I'm actually seeing the chat right now in game, and it's actually 17 March 2019.
Okay.
Because I was looking it up just to make sure. It was the 17th of March.
Oh, and, that's great. No, thank you for that, because I really didn't have a clue as to when the game really started kicking off. So I would then say then the first week or two would be for Kingdom 1, right?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Okay. Very cool. Thank you. Continue, please.
And we merged soon after, and since then I've been in Dragonheim all the time, up to, I think, the 9th month of 2019. And then I went to Kingdom 16, but that is not the story of that first kingdom, of course.
Okay.
For a short time.
So you were in C. How long were you in C for?
I think only a week or so. It must be if I see a chat from 17.3, where I already was in Dragonheim, actually, then.
Okay. So tell me about your time in Dragonheim.
In Dragonheim, I also became really fast, I think within 1.5 weeks, Marquis and diplomatic advisor. And that was a great time because the kingdom was so filled with alliances everywhere. So you couldn't just go 10 tiles or there was like a mini hive or something forming. It was one of the most busy times where we actually had massive, not really fights, but trying to claim dominion over areas. And there was so much to do as a diplomat.
Okay. So, what kind of things did you do?
For example, very soon after, we were settled in a place somewhere near the Erie, a little bit above it.
Okay.
And there was this massive war between Brutal and One and Raven. And I like Brutal because I like the competitive, I like the bad guy attitude actually. So I was a big fan of Brutal, and I was talking to Sir Greg from Brutal, which was the leader. And we got along pretty well, and they actually landed right after us. And I remember Arch Templar, which was the primary bad guy from Athens back then, and the Chief Knight as well, was instantly contacting me like, what are you doing? They're very close to you. Do you need help? Shall we help you? And I was like, no, I like these guys. And he was like, no, they're public enemy number one. And I was like, well, but I want to be with them. So yeah, we were in the shadow of this massive, very, very highly aggressive, unruly alliance, which actually, in a way, protected us, but also made us a very massive target for Athens at the same time, the leading alliance.
Okay. So, what happened next?
Well, I was really busy on growing the alliance, and it actually went really well. So I was like trying to form Discord chats and everything, and trying to actually lay contact with. Well, I would just work from the top down with all the diplomats, etc. And of course, the leading alliance was fully out of reach because we were just a tiny alliance. But I did use world chat and everything in my power just to keep attracting people, and also make deals with several small alliances around us to merge, and we actually grew pretty decent. I think within 2 weeks or maybe 2.5, we were like the 14th alliance in the server.
How many alliances do you think there were at that time?
Oh, I have an image where we actually mapped the top 100 alliances.
100?
They were all alliances with like at least 50 people.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Everybody must have been on top of each other there.
Yeah, it was really, you didn't have to scroll far to find an alliance. I think that was one of the most beautiful times of this whole game, where we just had so much people in one kingdom.
Okay.
I do miss that.
So, how long were you on Kingdom 2 for?
It got to be at least half a year.
Okay.
Well, in total, it'd be way over 1 year. But then I went to Kingdom 16 for a while and joined CTR, one of the old Kingdom 2 alliances as well.
Okay.
For a month.
Now, somebody had mentioned to me, because I don't have any experience with this, there was an uprising on K2, and you were involved in that?
Oh, I was.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we grew to the, I think, 7th rank alliance in the month after that or something.
Okay.
And Athens was a very appealing alliance, and they had a lot of following as well. Because they had a streamer called Fringlish and Eric Sean. Well, it's 2 streamers actually.
Okay.
So they took a lot of publicity, actually positive publicity, because that actually showed the good side of Athens. But in the meantime, they were just burning hives left and right. Oh, and wow. We had Raven and Brutal, they were constantly fighting. And at that point, I was trying to set up a rebellion against them, against Athens. And I was trying to, of course, with my friends from Brutal, I was trying to get more and more people in a Discord chat, more and more commanders and their first persons, of course. And at one point, I had like 20 people or something. And we were going to dethrone Athens because we found Athens was a bully and needed to be punished.
Okay.
And it kind of failed because of Fringlish, my current YouTube partner.
How did it fail because of him?
He was the most, how do you call it, nifty? He was so he was a bit arrogant, but also, yeah, well, he always tried to lay a trap for you.
Oh, okay.
So most of my gameplay was actually through Discord with all the people involved, etc. And I was also trying to get to him, and in the meantime, he was trying to get to me. So that was really interesting. And he was, of course, the diplomat for Athens, the leading alliance. And at one point, he pretended he got a message from Dog, which was the number 3 alliance, or number 4. No, number 4 at that point, I think.
Okay.
And he made that public in the world chat. And that started a very large chain of events that caused Dog to not trust us and we not trust them. And so the whole room fell apart. And that was the first rebellion, or we call it the first rebellion. That just failed entirely. And the purpose of the first rebellion was not specifically to dethrone Athens, but to actually just take the castles from them, or at least some castles.
Okay.
And even further, the first rebellion initial purpose was actually to capture the 2 castles owned by Raven, which was the number 2 alliance, High Garden and Castle Rock. But that really switched within a day after we found out that Raven was actually one of the better guys.
Now, why was taking the castles the first approach for you?
Well, it was not specifically first because we're at least a month in the game, but we saw all the events around Castle Siege and people were having fun.
Okay.
Yeah, and we thought we are rank 7 or something now. We deserve our own castle, but we didn't know that Athens had his own alliance with several smaller alliances, and everyone was getting a castle from them, and they were actually defended by them.
I gotcha. Okay, so what happened next?
We attacked Storm's End, then that was owned by CTR, Camelot, and that was maybe the rank 10 alliance or something, fully French alliance. And we also had a few others helping us out, some Dutch alliance called DNL and Kraus. And we took it with our problems, but then Athens, they just hammered on us so hard that we just scattered all over. Because we got instantly attacked by them. Because we didn't know about any deals. We were ready to fight. We were growing fast. We were fishes and we were dragons. So.
Okay.
And then everything started to fall apart. And actually 2 very large groups started to form. Athens with their alliances and Brutal and Dragonheim with their alliances.
What ended up happening from that?
Well, that was what we call the second rebellion. There was a little bit of a time in between where we had to rebuild trust, etc. And we came together again, and this time we were very much more aware of who were what and what the rules were of Kingdom 2.
Mm.
And I think we got dragged in a call once with Athens, and that was so dominant that we actually wanted to start more. So I started a new Discord server, and there were much more leaders there. I think we had about 30 leaders in the end. Well, 15 leaders with 15 second in command. And we really started a rebellion back then when we had this massive... we started another Discord server, and we actually changed the Dragonheim Discord server to a rebellion server. Literally every member was in there. So we were, I think, 170 people.
Wow.
At least 17 alliances. So there's 1,700 people. I should say that right. It was crazy. We had leader rooms and everything. It was a massive project. And, we just planned all these things to take over, etc. But we made one massive mistake there, and it was a small alliance called Dacia, which was led by Savin Liviu, who was a very passionate leader. And he made a secret deal with Athens, and I was still thinking that I could get him to come to the rebellion.
Mm.
And we didn't know he was part of Athens. So there was a bit of a leak there. And he actually started joining with Athens, and then we had a massive alliance called Athens with its code 1, and we had Dacia joining literally at their side, called, the alliance was called Dacia, but they renamed the code to 1 with a 0. And so that now we didn't have just Athens leading in King's Landing and being the bully. Now we had 200 of the strongest accounts of the servers being the server bully.
Okay. Now
then we had to change our tactic, because now there was just no way we could do anything without them striking us really hard. So what we basically started to do was to weed diplomatically into their alliance between Dacia and 1. And I was trying constantly to set them up against each other, actually. And that didn't work for a long time. I think they dominated the server 2 months. Until Fringlish left for Kingdom 1. They were kicked out because of something with a stream or something. He and Eric Sean. I'm not sure why they were kicked out anymore, but they didn't have anyone to solve the wounds of their diplomatic... we had Savin, who was a very bossy boss. He wanted to be leading. And we had Hoplite, who from Athens, who was a very relaxed person. So they were just not... It was not an alliance that really was fluent, and they had a lot of internal problems. Okay. So I started trying to exploit that, and eventually that worked after Dacia wanted to take more control or wanted to destroy. They were too aggressive on the rest of the server, actually really starting to hurt the server.
In what way?
Constant hive attacks, trying to burn everyone down. And we kind of fueled that, of course, because we were the rebellion. We were constantly trying to... We taught our players actually just, okay, you, jump in their hive, kill this and this and this player, and jump out. So we were like these mosquitoes of, average players, but strong enough to really do some damage to players in their hives.
Okay.
And we were really annoying, and they would come every day to our hive just to burn everyone over and over. And that was more the Dacia side, which was more the villain side. And in the meantime, we built a bit of a relationship with Athens, because we already knew them very well, because we were all a fan of the stream. So after Fringlish stream, of course, after he left, I don't know, there's something went entirely wrong within their alliance, and I was able to get in their heads, and I was constantly in world chat trying to provoke them, etc. I was a really annoying person, and
okay.
There was just my goal there.
Oh, okay, so it was intentional. Then never mind.
Yeah, it was intentional, and it worked, because Savian got madder and madder and madder and more kill them every day, and a lot of people were like, "Hello, we have a job, we have a family, we are just casual players. This is way too aggressive." So in that way, I got to them. So at one point, Athens was going to split from Dacia. And Athens was always the leader of Kingdom 2, so they wanted to be the leader again. And Dacia didn't... there was a 12-hour truce or 24-hour truce, and Dacia didn't accept that. So they instantly, as soon as Athens said we're going to split, they just attacked them full on. The next day was Castle Siege, and we already made plans with Athens days before that. When they split, whose side you're on, and we're of course like, oh, we like you guys pretty much, even though you've been the previous bully, but this bully is way worse. So we took the side of Athens, and there's actually a stream still on Ericsson's Twitch where the Castle Siege started, and Dacia was just 12 hours before that, or 10 hours before that, was done burning Athens. So Athens was really licking their wounds. And then all the alliances from Kingdom 2 just jumped into the hive in between Athens and Dacia. And we had Raven. Brutal didn't exist anymore by then. They were merged to Dacia. So it was a whole different story. Kind of sad that it was more their leaders stopped playing, more like that.
Okay.
And we had Raven, which was the number 2 or 3 at the time. They were holding a lot of castles, so we had alliances on every castle, and we had at least 4 alliances, including Dragonheim, that were constantly keeping pressure on the players of Dacia. Constant rallies, keeping our troops safe in rallies, because we never we didn't have enough troops to. We could put troops in a rally, but we didn't have any spare, so they were just continuously hitting our empty castles. And we had our strongest players just continuously rallying on every player we could find. And they were pretty unprepared because they were always been the leader. And we would, especially the stronger players, they didn't care about the mosquito strikes because they weren't affected by it. It was only the constant harassing of us that caused a lot of unrest in the lines. And that aspect worked really well. They still won. No, I don't think they won the first. Yeah, they won the first one, but the 2 castle siege after that, they just couldn't pull the troops because in the first one, Athens was really destroyed. Still, they were still unable to recover. But a week after, they actually recovered, and then we had a good hold on Kingdom 2 for at least a month or so.
So, how did things end for you?
For me, it ended. Athens fell apart. The leader was he was running for mayor of Athens or something. Really, literally Athens in the world in Greece.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so stopped playing, and the leaders after that, they were not as I don't know. It just fell apart. There were more and more people leaving. Dacia was getting more and more power again because they recruited a very strong player from Kingdom 3 called War Bunny.
Oh, okay, that's when War Bunny showed. All right.
Yeah, he showed probably before the first attack already on Athens, before the split.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, they recruited that, so they were just getting stronger from that point, and Athens was slowly falling apart due to leadership leaving.
Okay.
And then we decided, just before Athens completely fell apart, to merge Dragonheim with Athens. So we did have the strong Vlad Spiros players and all the whales from Athens, and we also grew Dragonheim into the next stage in the game.
So what do you consider to be the next stage in the game?
Well, the next stage is that you have at least rally leaders that are capable of holding castles. And before that, we had a lot of average players. We had a few players that did spend some money, but not too much. So they were our rally leaders, but they couldn't match at all with the whales that we had on the server. Sorry. And at that point, we had a whale of our own. It's the same as N3O, where I'm in now. We were always a bit low on the scale, but we suddenly attracted the whales from HED. So now we can just participate in the Super League, etc.
Okay.
And that was more the idea behind it. That's, for me, the next stage for an alliance, if they are capable of taking control.
So let's talk about, you were saying you eventually left K2 for a while. Where did you end up going?
That was the next step. We merged, and we were called BBD, BB something with B's.
Something with B's.
Yeah,
okay.
Balerian's Dread, so it's probably going to be BBD.
Okay.
And nobody liked the name, but we took the name. And
wait a minute. You don't get to jump that one. Why did you take the name if nobody liked the name?
No. We were just thinking of names, and we wanted to keep the dragon, but we also wanted to keep dominance. And Balerian was the top dragon from the Dragon Queen, of course. So.
Okay.
And yeah, but it was a weird name. Balerian's Dread was a really weird name.
Okay, fair enough. Continue, please.
Well, I was pretty dominant, and so was our leadership. Always done our own thing, but the Athens leadership, Night King and some others, they were still. Also, but we didn't get along too well, so there was some unrest as well. And then Night King decided to merge with Nordman, which was then called NOM, I think, still. It's now NDM. And they were big a few months back as well, still. But then they fell apart a little bit. And I didn't like that move because, I don't know, it was my own personal... I wasn't happy anymore. The moment we merged, I became very unhappy with everything because I lost the control I had. And that sounds maybe negative from me, but I loved being the diplomat, and I arranged everything, and I was like so active, and suddenly I had all these people, they just wanted to do their own things, and I felt like I lost a lot of control. So I went to CTR in Kingdom 16 instead. Because in CTR, that was the typical example of these were our biggest enemies. It started all with us versus CTR on Storm's End. And after that, we were two massive hives, and we were like 20 tiles away from each other. Just constant arrows up and forth, hitting each other. Just before the rebellion, actually. And after that, they were kicked from the Grand Alliance with Athens and Dacia because they were too weak or they didn't like each other or too French. And we became really, really close friends with them just because we were always fighting. We're just calling each other out. But it goes automatically. The more times you see the same names talking to you in a negative or positive way, you start to connect with them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they became our best friends, and I really liked many players of them. And so I went there, and I actually became a diplomat there as well, within a very short time, because, I don't know, people like me as a diplomat, I suppose.
And diplomat is a very unforgiving job. You do a lot of work and get a lot of drama, and anybody that's willing to do it, pretty much like, okay, have fun.
That is true, but I like the chaos, the discord, the talking, the scheming.
Okay, so you're now Diplo in another alliance. How long were you there for, and how long were you in that position?
I think a month or maybe a bit longer. Well, I was a month in, and then I started to call my old Dragonheim friends from Northmen, who were really unhappy there as well. And they came one by one, they came all to CTR.
Okay.
And I think maybe 6 weeks in, there was a leading alliance called OGS on Kingdom 16. And they were trying to recruit our people because we had pretty strong players at the time, especially in comparison. And OGS also had a few strong players, but the more I was calling my Dragonheim friends to CTR, the more they felt pressured. So at one point, they started to recruit our players. And they made the deal, like, you bring all your Dragonheim friends and we have a room for you and we'll have a great team and CTR will be our friends. And as soon as our top players were there, they were like, oh yeah, the small players we don't want. So then they fell apart because I didn't like it as well. And we had one person called Alice, who was the diplomat of OGS, who also had internal problems and she wanted to go back. She advised to go back to Kingdom 2, where she had a real-life friend called Benny, or they were both from Iceland.
Okay.
And yeah, Benny was actually from the old Dacia, and he renamed that to Neurotic Outsiders. So then we just all were like, okay, we might as well go back to Kingdom 2, where we were born. And that's where I'm still, actually.
Okay. All right. So you've had quite a history, especially as a diplomat. What would you say was the most challenging point for you as a Diplo?
The managing of many alliances. And in my head, I was scheming the biggest plans, and I was making more plans and talking to leaders. And all the time, there were, especially the smaller alliances, were constantly nagging, somebody hit my note, somebody did it, we have an line. And I was like,
drama.
Yeah, I was like, come on, this is way bigger than your stupid note wars. I don't care. But I had to keep the peace as well. So I was trying to set things in place, and other people handling this, other people handling that. It was a full-time job.
Yes. Then what would be your favorite part of being a Diplo?
I think the respect of everyone, the connections, everybody goes to you when they need anything, and you're so important. You play the important role in everything. I don't know. I just like it. I like to be I like to have the control enhanced, I think.
Okay. So you've also had to interact with a number of different people. What can you describe some of the personalities that you see? Like, do you see any patterns, any consistencies? What do you see when you look at the different alliances that you've had to interact with?
I do miss a lot of drive. I do notice that a lot of people, they love to play their games, but they're always just good where they are, and they're just doing their own thing, and they don't want to. Well, I have seen only a few people that were really driven to just conquer the world and play the war game as it is.
Okay.
And I am not like that. I want war. I want chaos. I want everything glorious of what can be glorious. So that's just my mindset. So I really had to step back from that and try to ease myself into a very, very soft undertone.
How'd that go for you?
Well, I started making guides on YouTube, and from that point, I also stepped down as any form of leadership for a while, because I really wanted to focus on that. And then I started to, well, it cost me a lot of time, so I had really less time to fight and to play war, stuff like that.
Have you had more time now, or is it still, because I know you make still lots of videos, so.
That is true.
Has anything changed for you with that?
Well, I feel a little bit stuck in N3O, and I love them because there's a lot of my friends from the very, very past, but I do miss the going to war. We've been on a very passive alliance a long time, and I haven't done a castle siege for a long time, all that stuff that I'm really missing. So what I'm personally trying is to push them into finding a more adventurous route, which is, well, we're getting there.
Okay.
Well, for example, I've jumped to Kingdom 67, apologies, where our vanguard is, and that is the guys from ATD are still there, just to get some more war and etc. So it's hard for me to be in a very passive alliance. But I love the events, and I love the organization, and our alliance leader Benny is just has grown so much in being a real commander and really organizing everything perfectly for every alliance battle, etc. So we do grow as an alliance, but I do miss the war and the chaos, and I think it's the making videos is just a channel for me to at least put some energy where I can't put it into war, into something productive in a way.
I understand. So, let's see. What do you believe is a key to a successful alliance?
The only perfect key is community. Because you need to keep the people you have, and they need to feel safe, and they need to be able to have a place where they can just talk and have fun with each other every day. Because then you can only grow. If there's no people leaving, then you can only attract people. And then if others see how much fun you're having and how close you are, and they will just come automatically. And of course, you need good diplomatic skills, and you need always to be able to. What I will always trying is just to merge with others. Just like, come on, you only have 50 people. Come join us. We're having a great time here. And that was a very, very good way to grow, especially looking for the alliance that had just that few very strong players as well, of course.
Right. So, what would you say is your proudest moment in the game?
Well, in the game,
yes,
I have a lot of fame. I don't know, really, my proudest moment in the game. Well, it was starting the rebellion, of course, but
okay,
and starting a successful rebellion, because in the end, it's just us left. I own Kingdom 2 now, but then a lot of people left. So.
All right. Do you think that you would want to rebuild that kingdom? Or is it just at the point where this is like, I'm comfortable with how things are now?
I think it's not my job anymore. I found another way to help people. And I know M3O leadership has been attracting several alliances.
Right.
And it's actually on a bit of growth again in Kingdom 2. Not too much. But I think we should give the kingdom to, for example, CZ5, who's been there from the start. Czech Alliance. Czech. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's their time to rule that kingdom, and we are too strong not to do anything more.
Okay. So, who do you admire in the game?
I admire Benny a lot because he has been such an amazing alliance leader. And I've given him such a hard time in my streams often. When things went wrong. And he's always like, oh, you're my little diva. And then it's all fine. And I admire Alice a lot because she is an amazing person. And of course, my previous leaderships from Dragonheim, Draken and Belothian, who's just always been there and who even followed me to CTR. They've all been really close friends of me as well. And of course, Fringlish, my trusted partner in Forgotten Games, who's been my worst enemy and my closest friend in the end as well.
Okay. Now, were there any special moments that you haven't mentioned that you think you would like to mention?
I don't know. I've tried to build a community on my Discord as well. I wanted, because I've missed how many people were together in the past in Kingdom 2. I wanted to have that GoTWiC feeling again. The GoTWiC that I loved so much, that community feeling that everybody is part of something massive and everybody, wants to, has a purpose, has a goal in the game.
Right. So
there's something I want to rebuild in the game. That is more a goal of me.
Well, yeah, this is about you, so you can share those things. Any other special moments?
Well, the trigger actually for me to start a YouTube channel was I saw an ad. I saw a YouTube video which had like 1 million views, maybe 2 million now, who was really burning on the game. And it was from a player who played just maybe a few hours. And they made a guide, and it's such a bad game, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's not true. So I wanted to make a guide or videos that showed the opposite, how amazing the game was, how the community was, how the gameplay was, how everything was. I wanted to just counter that video. And that was actually the real purpose I started the whole thing.
Okay.
Because it's not just the city building, etc. and all, but he missed all the events, all the fun things, and he missed the whole community feeling and the battles and the castle sieges, and I just wanted to bring a positive message about GoTWiC on the internet, on YouTube, because I just couldn't find it.
Okay. So if there was something that people thought about you, what would you want it to be? What's the thing you want most people to remember about you?
Well, I always wanted to be maybe some kind of Robin Hood. I wanted to be absolutely ruthless to my enemies without any remorse, and that's just my role I take in the game. And it's always been what I've been doing. I've always played a role in the game because I can really separate myself as I am as a person from a character that I pick for the game.
Okay.
And I wanted to be the bad guy. I wanted to be the one who just, laid waste to kingdoms in my head as a character. And people often really got mad about that because they projected how I am as a person in the game, projected them to their own personal life. And I was like, yeah, but no, you play a game with me, and I get to choose who I am in this game. I don't have to be myself in this game. And that's what I also want to give to the people. Like, You don't have to be yourself. You can be evil. You can be very good. You can be an angel or a demon. But just play the game. Play the game on a special way. Just a role-playing game, maybe.
You are not the first person to mention that, wanting to just be something different than you are in real life in here. Do you find it as an escapism type thing, or is it just you felt like you just wanted to play that character?
I felt there was not enough chaos. That's why I wanted to bring chaos. I felt like it needs to be there. It fits. It would be in their real life too. There would be evil and there would be good.
Okay.
And yeah, more people should do that. I think role playing is one of the greatest thing you can do. I don't do it in real life much, but I do it in my games.
Understood. Is there anything else that you would like to include in this recording?
Not really. I'm good.
Okay. Then I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me today, and I will talk to you on the Discord.
Very well, thank you. It was a great pleasure being here, and I might have ranted a little bit too much, but
no, this is always to express yourself. It's all good.
all right.
All right.